Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Games101. Welcome to my video in regards to the Cold War and the Black Ops Cold War video game that came out late last year. Simulcast together between BitChute and YouTube. I thank you for joining me in this situation at hand. By the way, please thumbs up, subscribe, and share, donate to my Patreon if you can. And if not, share my videos will be a good idea to do so at your own will. Alright, guys, so here's what I'm thinking of, right? So I played this game called Black Ops Cold War, as you see here on the screen. I played it and recorded back about the month of November, around December 2020, if not January 2021. And since then, I've recorded about 2 sessions, and you should see it for the next few minutes or so, depending upon how much material I'll be able to cover at this moment within the span of time that I have right now. Now, Cold War, Black Ops Cold War, Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War. What do you think of when you see this name? You see this information at first as a title on the screen, or in the Xbox store, or in person at Walmart or some other place. You look at this like, wow, they got some balls to talk about the Cold War, because back during the 1990s, when I was still in school in elementary school, most of the teachers don't talk about the Cold War, let alone talk about the present day moments that happened back during the 1990s, like during the Iraq War, the Operation Desert Storm, and the Kosovo War, things of that matter. Even though the Kosovo War started during the Monica Lewinsky scandal, but still that was a good distraction from their standpoint as the leader of the country, Bill Clinton, here at the time, the United States of America. So what I'm trying to say is that during this Cold War, from the years of 1946-47 until about 1991, that was a very long rivalry between the United States and the U.S.S.R. And with the U.S.S.R., the U.S.S.R. stands for the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And it lasted from 1922 to 1991. It was run mainly by Joseph Stalin, being one of the longest running leaders of that country. Prior to that was, I believe, Lenin for about a couple of years or so, but he was ousted from power most likely. So basically, this Cold War started as early as 1945, where Hitler lost power. He was overtaken by the Soviets, for the French, the United Kingdom, the United States. They all were in cahoots with each other, tried to fight this war against the Nazis. And most of the ousted people, like the scientists, builders, you name it, they all transferred over to either the Soviet Union or to the United States during this ending of the World War II fiasco. And basically, most of the scientists under the Operation Paperclip is when most of the scientists from the from Germany were taken to the Western Bloc of Germany and of Europe, and or to the United States. And whatever is left over from one of those scientists, they basically defected over to the Soviet Union during this operation as well, based on my knowledge, as what I'm trying to say. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, from what I've been gathering, it's just based on some opinions, based on fact and information, some speculations, some interesting occurrences that I gathered around over these weeks, if not months, of playing Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War especially. And it's just basically my own take, my own perspective of the matter at hand. So keep that in mind as we continue along with the story at hand. So what happened during 1940s to the 1960s? Well, we have the Korean War that lasted until about the 1960s and 70s, because of the fact that there was no standstill, there was no rippling of different lands being going back and forth. It was a stalemate, pretty much. As of this day, after the last 40 years, at least, the North and South Korea are currently at ease with each other between the borders, somewhere along the middle of the Korean Peninsula, if I recall correctly, that is. So you can look back on this stuff with the description box down below with the references. So, one leads to another. Decades later, into the 1990s, where I grew up, we were talked about told about by a teacher. His name is Mr. Terrell. I will mention his name. I will tell you guys his name because obviously, he's most likely now he's still either alive but not really functioning, and or he's passed away. Goodness forbid that is, because he should be in his 80s and 90s by now. Because last time I checked, it was in his 50s and 60s when he became my teacher. So anything's possible at this moment. So my teacher, Mr. Terrell, he's an Air Force Air Force specialist or an Air Force fighter pilot. Back in 1997 when I first met him, as my first day of attendance school, right, guys? So okay, I was gonna learn something different. I did much better than the city schools here in New York City. So as time goes along, over time, he started talking little by little of certain, not secrets, but blips of truth that we don't hear from anyone else outside of the United States government. And he explained that within 20 years, China will be the dominant force by 2035 or 2025, give or take, the earliest. And he was right now. And I know why China? Why do you vote China the matter? Well, China was following the Soviet Union's goals and aspirations and its ideology of socialism and communism for quite some time, and then going into the present day. So aside from that, now we're going back to the situation where I would say back during the time of the 1960s, during the Vietnam War, the rise of the height of the Vietnam War. And that's when Mason and Woods are the video game characters of Black Ops 1, not Black Ops Cold War, but Black Ops 1 started to have, a reoccurrences of what happened during the height of the Cold War. Because back during that time in the 1960s, specifically in 1962, we had John F. Kennedy and Fidel Castro going hand to hand with Nikita Khrushchev. Not hand to hand, but like hand-to-hand combat type of situation where it's like we're about to fight them in a nuclear war. Because Castro was holding the nuclear weapons for Khrushchev at the time, during the 1962 time. And it was the Cuban Missile Crisis, because after that stunt with John F. Kennedy with the Bay of Pigs incident, trying to invade Castro's compound and stuff like that, didn't go so well. But in the end, we come to a point that Mason, Woods, other characters, and the Black Ops 1 video game started to do the stuff that the CIA was doing back during the Cold War in real life. Now, this is when I started doing speculative of the game. That's how I got more involved with the Call of Duty franchise personally myself. And I'm thinking to myself, guys, what makes it interesting to be a soldier or to be a CIA agent these days? You have to have charisma, you have to have innovation, you have to be cunning, deceptive, very fulfilling in your mission works. You can't just sit around not doing shit, just playing video games all day like it's nothing. And back in those days, what I heard is that it was all about country, freedom, and fighting this war once and for all through deception. That's what's going on, because bullets, bombs, and nuclear weapons are not going to help the situation during this Cold War for the last 40 to 60 years, give or take, right, guys? So, during the 1960s, Woods and Mason, if I recall correctly, worked together to try to fight this big bad, Soviet-style type of government. And one leads to another. We go into Black Ops 2, a sequel. I don't know much about it, even though I played it. I played it myself, the entire campaign. It took me 4 or 3 years to complete the campaign because it wasn't my suit of interest to look into the matter that much. But I played it anyway, no matter what. So, sorry if I don't know much about the details of Black Ops Cold War 2. Black Ops 2, excuse me. And going Black Ops 3, that's nothing to do with what's going on with what I'm trying to explain here. I'm trying to get to my main point. Now, with the Black Ops Cold War, now this is the juicy part of where I want to get into the most. It's kind of like a slap in your face, it doesn't matter if you're a veteran of the armed forces, whether it's Air Force, Army, Marines, CIA, FBI, even the Coast Guard if possible. But mainly specifically, if you're a CIA agent, it should be a slap in your face, like, oh Jesus, dear Christ, yeah, that type of situation. And I'm not saying that people I met were CIA agents in my real life, in my actual life, or my teachers or whatever, but just that they have insider knowledge or they researched the crap out of these situations. Because how is it that during Black Ops Cold War, the video game, they show Greenlight, they show the Operation Mockingbird, they showed like the mind control program that they had back during the 1940s and 50s. That was a horrible failure to the CIA. I think it's called something called oh man, what is that called again exactly? Mind control operation by CIA. MKUltra. Sorry about that, guys. So it's MKUltra. I couldn't really roll off my tongue properly. So MKUltra, that was took part in the game as well with U.S. being Bell, the character, and Adol is somewhat new to the matter because I don't remember seeing him in Black Ops 1 or 2. So it's kind of weird that they put him in there unexpectedly, right? But he's basically Black Ops Cold War is supposed to be like the mid-quel sequel between Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 because it takes place back in the 1980s, Black Ops Cold War. So that in the beginning, you get to meet Ronald Reagan, which you can see in the screen here as I'm talking about this matter at hand. So now, what is going on here? Like, why are they showing a real life scenario where the CIA agents will go into Ronald Reagan's office, or not personally his actual office, but at some secret location, and talk about business, how to take care of Fidel Castro, or how to take care of the Soviets and stuff like that, how to take care of the Koreans, that type of stuff. So it's kind of like, a clusterfuck at the time to go through this experience while playing this game, and both in the video game and certain in real life with some of these people who knew this information before I knew it. And I'm thinking to myself, why now? Why in the year 2020, now 2021, because right now today's March 4th, 2021, as this recording, why is it that Mr. Reagan is displayed about this matter at hand, knowing that it might cause a little not arousal, but like outrage to the older adults who are over 50, 60 years old. Because they went through the Soviet Union, they went through the Cold War, they went through attended these events and seen these events on TV, on the radio, in the newspapers. It makes that matter. These are not just people who just lie about this stuff. They tell stuff to what they see prior to meeting you. These are people who are old, like in their 60s and 70s and 80s at the time. I'm sure now some of them are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's been about 15, 20 years almost since the last time I talked to my English teacher, or to even my to almost 25 years with my 5th and 6th grade teacher. Hold on a second, I'm in the middle of a recording. Sorry about that, guys, that was my aunt. So basically, look guys, I'm not saying I'm just a know-it-all. I'm not saying I know everything about the situation, but in my heart, in my soul, there's something not right with them taking out, bringing about this Black Ops Cold War video to you guys as a video gamer. And not as a video gamer, also as a citizen of this country as well. Whether or not you're patriotic or not, whether you love America or not, you're still a part of this country no matter what. You still affect change. You still affect people who are what they've been through, who they are, what they've been through, the people you interacted with. Everyone's not living in a lonely island or whatever. This is ridiculous that they shove this to most people who know what's going on, that like now it's like it's out there in the open what they do behind closed doors. Now I'm not saying everything is true on the video game. It's actually just based on coincidences that they said at the beginning of the game. But for Christ's sake, guys, like what to do about the matter at hand? What to say about the matter at hand to the younger generation who are under 25, 21 years old as of the year 2021? I'm right now 33 years old. I actually did my share of research while I was in the library every week for how many years, up until when I was like 16, 17, 18 years old, and still will read a newspaper after that for a few years after the matter. From 18 years old until about 25, 24, 23 years old. So every day or every so often I go on the bus, I read the newspaper on my way to school or work. I've seen all this incidents happen with the war in Iraq, with the war in Afghanistan, with everything else. Now China is dominating the world because they follow in the Soviets' footsteps, in a sense, to some extent. You know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm just spewing bullshit, right, guys? But I did my best to explain about a little bit about the synopsis or the plot behind the matter, or the behind the scenes of what really takes place out during the Cold War. And we're not going to get this until we research this ourselves, see the outrage of it. And you're not outraged about it because you don't know anything about history, or you don't know anything about the specifics of this history of the Cold War. You don't have to know everything about it, but there's something from what you learn in school to now to teach you, like, okay, they really are screwing with us people, because how is it that you let these makers of the video game create this re-intimidation of what the CIA went through, the Central Intelligence Agency went through, as early as the 1940s and 50s, up until now, and it's like, what the hell to do about this matter? Okay, who to fight, who to advocate, what to change for what government, to what government? You know, this is stuff that we have to look at as citizens, and even though I'm mixing both politics and business together, they have been for the last 10 years of my life now, but still, it's all about reiteration, it's all about realizing and not analyzing the steps that I've taken to make this game, to the ways that make this game into something that I'm a realistic format, like the Modern Warfare 2019, for example. That video game, it was alright. The story was okay. I like the multiplayer more, but the story of it, the campaign of it was, you know, they did their best to show what the CIA went through, what was going on back during the 1980s into the 1990s, during the Soviet-Afghan War. Because the Soviet-Afghan War lasted from 1979 until 1989 approximately. And that's when we had the fucking Iran-Iraq War back during 1979 to 1982, 1981, give or take. It was with Saddam Hussein that everyone was being rise of the power within Iraq. And that's what it made. The Middle East kind of maintained its consistency for 20 to 30 years up until the year 2003. So everything's connected somehow, some way to each other in indirect ways. Some of them, yes, it can be like irrelevant. Some things can be overanalyzed, but in the end, we know we were right. Us people who look at this matter, us people who did the research, who studied it, who advocated for some kind of change in this country. Either it means sacrificing your livelihood, or even worse, or even better, your life. That's when things do change for the better, if you sacrifice just enough to get by. But that's my opinion, guys. So what do you think, guys? Do you think I did a good job of explaining to you about what I know about this Black Ops Cold War fiasco? Please, thumbs up, subscribe and share. Donate to my Patreon at DrKs101. Cash App, PayPal, everything's down below in the description box. I will post links that I did a little research on to back up what I've been saying for the last 20 minutes. I thank you guys for watching, listening, or both. I know I may not be the best explainer or deck orator in a sense, but I do my best to put two to two together and see. I want you to see what I see. I want you to see why I'm upset at this game to some extent. I mean, it's a good game. It's action-packed in the first mission, definitely. And into the other missions, yes. But the first mission was like, wow, he's an RC car this time. Like, okay, why not? And it's pretty cool, too. I mean, I have to say, I give this game at least, out of a 10, I would say about a 7 out of 10. The campaign, and 7.5 out of 10 with the multiplayer. Now, altogether, I would say it's about 7 out of 10. You know, just to be certain, as far as the overall final approval of on the rating of this game because, let's face it, it's not the best Call of Duty. It's not the worst Call of Duty. But it can't turn to be on the worst side of the Call of Duty part. But it's still good to know about your history through the iterations in Black Ops Cold War. Now, much about Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, I don't know too much about Black Ops 2, 3, and 4 too much, or little at all almost, because let's face it, they're not that good, especially 3 and 4. Black Ops 2 I heard was the best one, the best Black Ops game, and one of the best Call of Duty games. Sometimes even Black Ops 2 could be one of the best games of FPS games, first-person shooter games of that generation alone, if not the best. So, alright guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for sharing if you can. If you cannot donate, just share. That's all I really care for is to spread this word around, to understand that this is not some total game itself. Like it's all fake, whatever, because some of this stuff is real life. The way you go on a cover as a Russian agent, what you go in there and you just like fuck shit up in the Soviet offices, that type of stuff. So it's like, yeah, guys, this is it. This is where it comes down to, where it's like our game's getting more realistic, more reiterated, more excited, if you want to call it like that, than ever. To make things more real the one way we were back during the 1960s, 70s, 80s, of the height of the Cold War. So, alright guys, see you around. Bye.